My legal rights have been defecated upon. And yet every time I knock on a door, it costs me money which I don't have, which I haven't earned. This is what the world's policeman and a nation of laws allows to happen. And there's going to be plenty more, because the reason I'm giving you these stories is I'm not a mad dog. I'm not a feral person just shouting from the rooftop because I didn't get my way and I'm throwing a tantrum. God forbid, I cannot remember when I threw a tantrum. Every time I asked a question or posed a question, the person sitting in front of me got nervous. For what reason? I have absolutely no idea. You'll have to ask my family, my siblings. Or my sister, who said, oh, the question he used to ask to school, the nuns thought nothing better to do than keep on sending him further up. So I got double promoted 3 times. A child amongst teenagers. Same happened at college. And then I realized, I ain't no fool. I ain't no idiot. I'm intentionally using bad language. Ain't. That's what dumbasses do. I am not stupid. I have never been stupid. The only people who got nervous in front of me are the people in the hierarchy who had something to hide. Judges, secretaries of state, their sycophants, their executive assistants, they're all on my side. My state representatives, my senators, my US congressmen, they're collective, not worth 1 cent to me. Not 1 cent. And just because the next thing I'm going to talk about is the Judicial Committee in the Congress, its chair, the idiot, Jordan. Oh, he has to interfere in everything, except do his job when he was employed by the university, and the victims were all around him, and he did nothing. Because that's what you're supposed to do, isn't it? When you see law being broken, you turn the other way, because in return, you are gonna get gifts by the truckload. You shall be rewarded. The meek will never inherit the earth. It's the scum. Look around you. What the hell are meek doing? Sinking further and further down, where nobody listens to them? Fani Willis responded to him, a charitable explanation of your correspondence is that you are ignorant of the United States and Georgia constitutions and codes. Willis wrote. A more troubling explanation is that you are abusing your authority as chairman of the Committee on the Judiciary to attempt to obstruct and interfere with a Georgia criminal prosecution. Representative Jordan enjoys immunity under the United States Constitution's speech or debate clause. That does not make his behavior any less offensive to the rule of law, she added. Its gatekeepers are corrupt, and the United States has neither credence nor credibility as a moral guide or a self-declared world policeman. I shall state that repeatedly through my experiences with hand on my heart and prove it. I'm going to reiterate, entities that merit immediate instigation of criminal investigation include National Board for Certified Counselors, the Georgia Composite Board of Professional Counselors, Social Workers, and Marriage and Family Therapists, its Executive Director, Briggs Zimmerman, and the offices of the Governor of the State of Georgia and the Secretary of State, but does not exclude other names included in this podcast from allegations of complicity and racketeering. Destruction of evidence, interference with judicial process, abuse of oath of office, unlawful interference and influence in denial of a citizen's constitutional rights are to name but a few. 3 of the personalities, the entities, 2 of them, their senior assistant attorneys general in the Department of Law, and another assistant attorney general from the Department of Law. They defecated upon all things precious and legal in their code of ethics and through abuse of their office and the power afforded to them. U.S. Supreme Court, just like the Georgia Supreme Court, denied certiorari. Effective 2014, I was handed a death sentence without due process by the executive of the state of Georgia. November 9th, 2016, Georgia voted overwhelmingly to append a 40-year-old independent judicial watchdog agency and had it controlled to the General Assembly, despite claims that politics, not policy, was behind the move to recreate the Judicial Qualifications Commission. Over 80% of the votes cast favored remaking of the JQC. I'm actually surprised why it wasn't 100%. Because JQC has been complicit in allowance of behaviors unfitting for jurists. Beginning January 1st, 2017, the legislature would appoint 4 of the 7 JQC members and 1 each by the Speaker of the House, the Lieutenant Governor, and the Governor. The State Bar of Georgia would no longer make JQC appointments. So they stated. House Judiciary Committee Chairman Wendell Willard, he's Republican from Sandy Springs, on Wednesday, 27/2017. State Representative Deborah Basemore and respective aides were present. I shall talk about that meeting at a later stage. For now, let's just stick with the JQC. New JQC members could be renamed, well, named and renamed, or whatever the hell they meant to say, and in place to take their posts on January 1st, even though the appointments require confirmation by the Senate, which would not be in session until January 9th. He said it was common for people named to state commissions to begin their work even before the Senate confirms them. I'm not going to repeat what I just said. I'm going to let these words stew inside your head. Mr. Willard Wendell, chair of the Judiciary Committee, said those words. He also stated that in the next few weeks, a study committee he chaired will release its recommendations for how a newly constituted JQC will operate. Now I'm getting confused. I had a meeting with Representative Willard Wendell in his capacity as the chair of the Judiciary Committee. The meeting was facilitated by and organized by State Representative Deborah Bazemore. All their aides were present. Mr. Wendell and his aide, probably with a JD, they started talking to me as if I was a mere midget on a dusty floor. By the time I had left, the high and mighty were crawling along the floor, as many have done before. I told him all the facts about the corruption, about Judge Jackson, the Court of Appeals judges, the rulings they made. His face told me I was right, like the others. An egregious abuse of power, a defecation upon legal process had occurred in the state of Georgia. He didn't have to utter a word. Towards the end of the meeting, he said, "You do realize, Mr. Budd, I have to run this through the gubernatorial office, and like you say, everything gets buried there." And he was staring at me. I got the message. He was gone. Within a month, he was gone. He had left politics. His deputy, I chased him for ages. Ages. Nobody responded from his office. Repeatedly, I was told to take further action. After that meeting, nobody responded. It took 6 months for State Representative Deborah Bazemore to even return my calls. Her executive assistant, I will not repeat the unkind words that were said about her unprofessionalism. It turns out executive assistants know more, and they have more respect and regard for constituents and legal processes than the legislators do. Enough said. I'm here to talk about my case. 6 months later, Deborah Bazemore called me to say she was involved in an accident and she will be focusing on her recuperation. And that's it. Before that, the very same Representative Deborah Bazemore has said to me, I'm not